Hello, everyone. I am Micah Smith, and I am back with another episode of Rebuild and Rise. And as promised, I have an amazing guest for all of you today. And we were just talking behind the scenes, and he's actually located in Brooklyn, New York, and he works for Cross Country. But this is someone that I have been working with for a very long time, someone that I deeply respect, someone that I feel comfortable referring even friends and family to. He represents, again, an amazing company, which is Cross Country, but he does something very unique. He's in the renovation space, the construction space, and so he's doing the loans that not many people understand, but much less can break down and teach on. And so I'm super excited to bring Barry to you. And with that being said, Barry Koven, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, so great to see you, and thank you so much for having me. So exciting to be here and share all about renovation and construction loans and how we're, making the magic happen for people.
Absolutely. So I have lots of questions for you, naturally. So I know you've been in the business for 20 years. So before you jumped in to the mortgage business, before 20 years, right? Who was Barry before the mortgage business?
Well, I am very, very fortunate and very blessed. So, yeah, I grew up total New Yorker, and then I knew early on. So why are you saying that? How do you know there was something before the mortgage business? Are you trying to say that I look old?
I'm just saying, who were you? Were you like playing sports? Like, what were you
Okay,
doing?
no, I was not playing sports. So I had a passion for music from a very young age, but I knew those three chords I was trying to play on the guitar weren't going to get me anywhere. So I went to school for recording music. I worked in recording studios and in the music business, and I was in the music business for 20 years. And my passion and my enthusiasm, which I bring now to renovation loans, when it was there in the music business, I worked up the ladder, and I worked and made myself happen. And I wound up being the senior vice president of sales and for one of the largest independent record labels in the world, Tommy Boy Records. And we had massive multi-platinum artists, Queen
Wow.
Latifah, Coolio, and House of Pain, and Naughty by Nature, and lots of great things going on. And so I had a very exciting career. And then we woke up one day, this thing came around. You might have heard of it. I think it was called the internet.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen that? The internet and Napster, and then eventually the iPod, and then the iPhone, and the business was digitally disrupted. So I had an awesome career, very exciting, great. I have an awesome family and wife and children, and I was living the dream. I had to pinch myself in the morning, and that like my life was too good to be true. And then the business got digitally disrupted, so I had to have a career change. And so I decided to come into a career. I didn't want to just get a job. I decided to come into a career that was commissioned, and you would get what you reaped. What you sow is what you reap, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I came into this. I almost went into real estate, but I wound up here. I had a friend in this business, so he kind of taught me everything. You could see one of my gold records in the background there from
I
back
love
in
that. I
the
was
day.
wondering what that was from. Now I know. Very cool. So, what was it about the mortgage industry that you found captivating? What was your pull to the mortgage industry? I want to know what kept you there, because the average life of a loan officer is not 20 years. And let's face it, you're top 1% in the entire country, right? So, what keeps you going? Because this business is something that I would consider it's challenging, it's tough, right? It's volatile. There's a lot of ups and downs, to say the least. So, what keeps you in this business?
So I think that what keeps me here is that I can be very entrepreneurial, you know. It's really like I'm have my own company. And I also get to help people, right? Like so owning a home is like one of the largest purchases of your life. It's extremely, I often tell people I'm really half mortgage real estate financer and half psychiatrist. Like
Sure.
very stressful. If you look up the top 10 most stressful things you're going to do in your life, like buying a home is up there with getting divorced and or losing a loved one. So it's very stressful. It's the largest purchase of people's lives. And I love to be involved with that, especially with what we're going to talk about, you know, with the specialty programs, have watching people build their dream homes and creating legacies, right? Because owning property, it's not just a place to live. Like you could just pay rent and live somewhere, but owning a property, it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
It's going to go up. It's a part of your legacy for your family, for your children. It's a part of your retirement plan if you do it right and then pay it off and all of that. So it's a big deal. And I love that angle and that part of it and being a part of such a big part of people's lives in that regard.
I love that. It's so true. And I know you also, so you actually, and I've had an opportunity to work with quite a few people, but you run one of the biggest teams here in New York, the Carbon team. And so, what's one thing that you try to instill into every single person on your team as a leader?
So when it comes to managing other loan originators, or and this could really probably apply to anybody in any industry, I think that most successful salespeople would not disagree that you know there's a couple of key things that I kind of focus on. One is differentiating yourself from the competition, and I talk to my team about this all the time, right? Like being setting your there are like 10,000 you know mortgage folks running around New York. There's probably 30,000 realtors. You know the competition is fierce, so I'm a
Sure.
big believer in differentiating yourself from the competition, having, in my case, it's my specialty loan programs with renovation and construction loans, but having something that's going to differentiate you and just, you know, outworking, working harder and working smart, right? Not, you know, sitting and replying to emails all days and knowing how to scale when you reach those levels and you're ready to scale your business and we can incorporate and utilize and delegate and you know just be sincere and you know do the right thing by people and it will come back tenfold. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that I preach to for people to be successful.
I
Yeah.
think that's so important. And I mean, kudos to you because leadership, running a team, building a team, it's super difficult. And especially when you're dealing with salespeople. So I've always felt like with salespeople, you have to incentivize them instead of try to manage them. And I've always felt that has worked best for even myself personally. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I am, first of all, I'm entrenched. I do what they do, right?
Oh, yeah.
As well. So I know what their pain is, right? So this isn't some, well, and that's a part of the reason that I work here and not for one of the, you know, the big box banks where, you know, there
Sure.
might be 19 layers of managers who they don't even know. They're not even out. They're just all about, oh, you know, are we hitting our numbers this month or whatever? So I do what my team does, right?
Yeah.
So I know their pain and I know how to do it. So absolutely, I treat them and I talk, and also my managing style is very unique. Like I tell people every day, I learn from the people under me, right? I'm not afraid to say I don't know. You know, like I
Yeah.
put the ego aside and we all work together. Now, maybe I'm, you know, leading the bunch. And at the end of the day, you know, I might be the one making a decision or bringing the ideas of how to grow and expand and all of that. But we all work together and I treat everybody with the highest level of respect. And I think that that's really an important trait, to
Yeah.
pass along because people feel very comfortable. The culture is so important,
Mhm.
for people.
Mhm. Agreed. Culture is everything. It's extremely hard to build, and once it's broken, it's really hard to get back. So I love that you instilled a really healthy culture, and I love that you said you take the ego out of things. I feel like once you do that, and I think it's very challenging for a lot of very successful people, right, to take the ego out of it. It's like, "Oh, I've done all this," not realizing that yeah, there's a lot more that you can still accomplish and you can 100% learn from your team members. I love that so much. And I think that's why you're so successful. I think that's a very important trait to have as a leader. We always say that leaders usually have the biggest servant's heart and they're willing to, right, put the ego aside to learn from somebody
Yeah.
else. So I think that's amazing. So I want to ask you because you're very specialty and I want this to be a super educational podcast because what you do is so important. And so I would love for you to break down the loans that you do because these are very outside of the box. So I want to start with the big one, which is FHA 203K. A lot of people have never heard of it. So if you can just put this into super simple terms, like what it is and who it's great for.
Okay, so first of all, the FHA, right? We're talking about sales and marketing and differentiating yourselves. So FHA 203K, they've done an amazing job at sales because people call renovation loans the 203K loan, right? But there are many of them. That's only one brand of the various renovation loans. There's Fannie Mae HomeStyle, Freddie Mac Choice. There's a VA, which we're going to get to for our veterans, of course. But FHA 203K is the most popular one. They've done a great job of marketing, just like Kleenex is to tissues, right? That they've done such a great job. They're like the biggest brand. People are like, oh, pass me a Kleenex. They've like replaced the word tissue with Kleenex. That's what a 203K has done. So, but 203K is just one brand of the renovation loan suite. A renovation loan is an amazing product. In summary, you can use it if you're buying a fixer upper, which is most popular, and we're going to include the money to fix up the home. So most people maybe have a couple, and you have two salaries and good income, but it's hard these days to have saved up, maybe even at the 20% down, let alone the housing stock in this country is all 20, 30, 40, 80 years old. And these homes need work. So we're going to combine and give you the money to fix the home in one mortgage. I call it the best kept secret in the mortgage industry, in the real estate industry. Most people have never heard of this. Even with the popularity of HGTV, and they never talk about how to pay for it, right? So if you're in a simplest form, you're buying a home, say the home costs 600,000 and it needs new kitchens, bathrooms, new roof, new floor, say 200,000 in work. You have a 600 purchase, 200 in work is 800 total, right? But now you could just put one low down payment, could be as low as 3.5% down. So that's about a little under $30,000 down, and we would give you one mortgage for 770, and the seller will get their 600. And even though you only put 30,000 down, you'll have 200,000 to fix up the home and make it all beautiful, all in one loan. And you can also use it, also very popular now, you can use it on a home you already own that you're fixing up, adding a second floor or whatever you're doing to the home. There's no minimum or maximum. It could be a small, you want to finance appliances, or you're gut renovating and adding a second floor or whatever you want to do.
Very cool. I love that. So let's just say if someone, let's go with borrower number two. So let's say borrower number two is trying to add an addition to their house. Let's say they've got more children on the way. They want to add an addition. They love where they live. So they're like, okay, we want to go forward with this type of loan. Is this going to be a product that stacks on top of what you currently have? So will it be a brand new loan or do they combine it with the current mortgage that you currently have? How would that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the renovation loan will have to be in first position. We're going to give you one brand new loan. If you currently
Got it.
have a loan, we're going to give you a new one, pay off your old loan, and give you one new loan. It's not a second separate
Got it.
loan. It'll be one new loan. Now, what's great about it is it's based on, so you're gonna come for an analysis, right? And I don't want to get too deep into it and bore people with all the details, but every scenario is different. So maybe you don't have a mortgage now, then maybe you don't need a renovation loan. Maybe you could just get what's called a cash out refinance. You just get a check, right? Or you have a ton of equity, all same thing. Maybe you could get an equity line of credit. We're gonna analyze your situation and give you the right financing program for you. But one of the great things is more often than not, people who are coming and want to add that addition, they already have a mortgage. It might already be a $500,000 mortgage on a home that's valued at six. So you don't really have a lot of equity. So the beauty of the renovation loan is it's based on the after repaired value. It's based on the future value. So we could lend now and you could fix it up because it's going to be based on the future equity of a fixed up house already.
Very cool.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what would be the difference between, right? So we went to the FHA 203K. So now the Fannie Mae HomeStyle and the Freddie Mac Choice renovation loans, how are those different? And when would you steer someone toward one versus the other?
Yeah. Yeah. These are a really great question. Now, obviously, you don't have to memorize all this because that's my job, right?
Yep.
So I'm the surgeon, and you don't ask the surgeon too many questions about how they're doing their surgery. But so my job is, to analyze your situation and get you in the best program with the lowest rate and lowest monthly payments and all that. However, of course, I want to answer your question. What's some of the big differences? So FHA will allow for lower down payments, right? The 3.5% down that I mentioned. They'll allow for, it's a government insured loan. So they'll allow for lower credit scores. They'll allow for a higher, what's called the seller's concession, if you have to include the closing costs in the loan on a purchase. So they'll allow for some things that the Fannie Mae loan may not. Now, however, the Fannie Mae loan would allow for some things the FHA loan won't. It'll allow for luxury items. Maybe we're doing a swimming pool. Yeah, a brand new swimming pool. Can't do that with FHA. We're going to use Fannie Mae. Maybe we're putting 20 FHA as mandatory MI, mortgage insurance, where Fannie Mae, if you're putting 10, 20% down, you may not have to pay mortgage insurance. So they each have their little nuances of why one over the other. And we're going to figure that out and get you into the right one. But those are some examples of why you would choose FHA versus Fannie Mae. Down payment, what type of work is being done? Do you have a great credit score? Do you need the bigger seller's concession? Those are some of the variables.
You're making this so simple. I love it. And the other one I wanted to ask you about, which I know you had alluded to earlier, we were going to get into, which is VA. So this one's obviously very close to the heart, right? We love our veterans. I know that veterans have the opportunity for 100% financing. Can you talk a little bit about the VA loans as well? The renovation loans, I should say.
Yeah, of course. So so we do have VA renovation loans, and you're absolutely right. We are so grateful and thankful to our veterans, and we want to be supportive for all that they do and have done. So it is right. So a veteran can buy a home with no money out of pocket, 100% financing. And in the case of my renovation loans, that could include the renovation money. So in our scenario that we talked about before, with like a $600,000 purchase price and 200 in renovation, so we're 800 all in. A veteran can do that with no money out of pocket. We will give them a loan for the entire 800. So that's an awesome program. And I don't know if you were going to ask me separately about, we also have construction loans for our veterans and
Okay.
everybody,
Let's
where
go through it.
yeah, you can literally. So the difference is renovation loan, there's already a property there, right? We're fixing up an existing property. Construction loan, we're building a brand new house from land, from dirt. We have that for everybody, and also our veterans a VA construction loan. So a veteran wants to buy a plot of land, then maybe the numbers are reversed, right? Maybe now the land is 200 and the house build is 600. We're still at our 800 total. We'll give them the entire 800 to buy the land, build a brand new house. And for regular folks, not, I mean, not someone who served, not non-veteran, we could do the same thing with 3.5% down. So, I mean, you could literally build $1 million brand new house with $35,000 out of pocket,
Wow.
zero if you're a veteran. Yeah.
Wow. So for the person, because listen, the real estate industry is tumultuous. I mean, things are so crazy right now. And I feel like so many people feel as though home ownership is so far away or unreachable. How would you just dispel that just myth? Because I would say it's a myth. I think it's extremely possible. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, so I'm talking to people every day about this and realtors. So I teach continuing education to realtors as well, and I'm teaching them all the time. I call it my inventory. Right now, the biggest issue is people are talking about inventory issues, right? There's not a lot of
Hmm.
houses to choose from, and all the interest rates are higher. So what I have what I teach is what I call an inventory creation strategy, right? So if a buyer is out and there are inventory issues, you're looking for a home, let's say the buyer saying, "Hey, I want to buy a home with a swimming pool," right? I didn't have a swimming pool growing up. It's the most important thing. And I have to have a swimming pool. And the realtor is out looking for homes with a swimming pool. And they're looking and they're searching, and there's only maybe one house with a swimming pool that's available. But now with a renovation loan, right, we can change all of that, okay?
Yeah.
Because now you don't have to find a house with a swimming pool. You have to just find a house with a backyard, right? Because we're going to give you the money to put in the brand new swimming pool all in one loan. So now we've changed everything. We have
Hmm.
changed the whole inventory problem. Instead of one house, you now have maybe 12 to choose from, because now you just need a backyard, not a swimming pool. So it's really don't buy into the, and same thing, no inventory, maybe there's land. So you could build a brand new house, probably for the same price of somebody's 60-year-old house, right? So there are workarounds. We just have to, get creative and utilize, what's available, and overcome these so-called issues that that people are talking about.
I love that. You're solution oriented, which is why I wanted you
Well,
here. And I love the fact that you're all about the education. And obviously, that is very near and dear to my heart. And we lead with education here. So I knew you would be perfect for explaining this. I love that. And I think that it's so critical that people understand where there is a will, there is a way. My mentor always said something, it was so simple, but profound. And he's like, "You want to know why things happen in life, Micah?" And I'm like, "Why is that?" He's like, "'Cause somebody wanted them to." I was like,
exactly.
"Touche." So, I love that. So, I would love to hear about a deal because we love good stories, right? So, a deal where everybody was like, "There's no way this can be done." And let's say the house was gone, the file was too messy, but somehow you found a way. What happened?
Oh, well, there's so many of them. So one of them is what I just said, right? The swimming pool
Mhm.
story,
I
right?
love that.
So, I thought it was out of reach, can't happen, and we just made the magic happen. So a couple of
Yeah.
other favorite stories would be let's go down, let's go down to New York City, okay? So I have a buyer and they're looking for a home, having a hard time. They have budget restraints, but they're dead set on living in New York City. And then I have a realtor who has for sale a doctor's office, okay? 3 blocks from Central Park on 71st Street. It's a co op building, and it's a doctor who's retiring. The place is a mess. It has, the rooms that, the doctor offices and a reception area. It doesn't even look like a home, but it's nice square footage. It has its own entrance on 71st Street. You don't even have to go through the lobby. It's like having a house, right? 3 blocks
Wow.
from Central Park. They meet me. We talk all about renovation loans, and my buyer gets this doctor's office for $670,000 because the realtor couldn't even sell it. And I give them $300,000 for renovation. So we're $970,000 all in, right? The appraisal comes in. Do you want to take a wild guess?
I'm gonna say like 3.1 million.
No, 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 not
I'm
that.
thinking Central Park, right? Like I'm just
Right.
going
Yeah,
for it.
no, you're
Okay, so
there.
1.5.
There are definitely $3 and $10 million properties there, but this one wasn't quite that extreme. It came in at 1.6 million. Okay. Now
Okay.
remember, they're all in for 970.
Wow.
670 purchase, 300 in renovation, 970. The appraisal comes in, it's 1.6. They just made over $600,000 in equity. They didn't even move in yet.
That's
Anyway,
incredible.
that was about a year ago. So they're done. The work is done. They have a beautiful 3 bedroom, 3 bath apartment, 3 blocks from Central Park, all because of renovation loans. And people don't know about this.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So from start to finish, generally speaking, I mean, let's just talk about that project. How long did that take from start to finish? So they sign the paperwork, they get everything done, they get the loan, right? How long is it generally speaking from, right, the time you sign the paperwork? 'Cause, I mean, it's construction, you don't really have a whole lot of control over that. But on average, what is it? Maybe like 6 months, a year? I guess it depends on maybe the renovation size.
Yeah, well, it depends. Right, of course, it depends on what work are we talking about? A kitchen that might be done in a
Yeah.
month, or a gut renovation. So, using that scenario, which is pretty much a gut renovation, and then getting, so in this case, so remember, all the work starts after closing. So a
Yeah.
normal loan process might be 60 days, right? 2 months, then you close, then you start the work. Now it's going to depend from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Well, how long is the town and the county out to get permits approved? What work is being done? Are you changing the layout? Are there architect plans or not? So it's hard to answer, but using that scenario, they actually got the approval to do the work before closing. So the actual work was probably, maybe they were done in, 6 months or so, but it had to take at least 3 months to get the plans approved from the Department of Buildings and everything. So all in, maybe it was a 9 to 12 month project, but they were fortunate enough that the co-op, the seller, didn't push them to close, and they were able to start the process for getting plans approved prior to closing. But
Super cool.
yeah,
Super, super cool. I think this is such an amazing opportunity because, like you said, I mean, there's so much out there, and just with a little bit of creativity, someone with your expertise, I mean, something really amazing can happen. So I think this is so cool. I am so excited for people to listen to this. This is so great. I'm so glad that we're doing this.
yeah,
So I want to talk about preparation because, right, I believe that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. So you've probably seen thousands of files, right, in the last 20 years. And so I want to ask you, because again, I think that people need to be reminded more than they're taught. What are some things that you see people do that we just need to remind our audience, right? What are some things that people do that just kill deals midway through the process? What are some things that they do, and how can we prevent them from making these mistakes that stops them dead in their tracks?
Okay, so the first thing is just like anything, especially the largest purchase of your life, you have to work with an experienced professional. Now, when people get on an initial, conference with me, sometimes they think that giving them a sales pitch, right? Oh, you have to work with me. I'm the best. Whatever. It's not a sales pitch. It is so true. So many
Yes.
things can go wrong. In anything important in life, you have to work with experienced professionals. If you were going for surgery, don't you want to be with the best surgeon? I mean, the answer, of course, is yes. It should be no different when you're going for a renovation or construction loan. You want to be with an experienced professional. Things are going to come up that only an experienced person would know how to solve and how to get. It happens all the time that people call me. They started with another company for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with, maybe they quoted them some low interest rate and they think they're going to be saving money. And they start with some other company. And you could even read online. If you put in 203K renovation loans and you Google it, you'll see, oh, wow, there's more paperwork. They're difficult. Be careful. That's because they're not working with an experienced person, because there's really nothing that's hard about them if you have the right team in place. So that's me and that's the lender. But the biggest, and getting back to your question, the second biggest mistake is the contractor. And it's the same thing. It's people being seduced by the low quote, right?
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you have five contractors come to your home and four of them tell you it's going to cost $200,000 to do what you have set out to do, and then one tells you, oh no, I can do it for 100,000, don't be seduced by that. Something is not right. Why can they do something half the price of everyone else? It's just something is going to go wrong. So you have to have a great contractor that's going to do the work and do it right. And those are the two major pitfalls when doing a renovation construction loan.
Really good information.
Yeah.
Now, what about, so obviously I'm in the field of credit. So when it comes to the credit side of things, generally speaking, right, we always want people to go into the highest tiers, but to get approved for these types of loans, generally speaking, right, you work for Cross Country. I'm a huge fan. I don't have bias per se, but we actually, so my husband and I, right, top tier credit. We went to, I think, 5 different organizations, and Cross Country was it. They won by a landslide. And this was a little while ago. So when it comes to credit, what should people be aiming for? But let's say, right, like maybe they don't have the best credit. Where do they need to be to at least potentially get approved?
So we're looking for a minimum 600 credit score for our renovation loan, 620 for construction, and then again there are different products and programs, right? So the FHA may go down to 600, Fannie Mae we might need a 620. It's going to depend on which one, and of course, when we get people who are in those categories, it's so great that we have like you on the team and we could refer them over. And with your knowledge and your, talking about having a great team in place, there's so many things that people don't know, or they think they could do on their own. Oh, I'm going to pay off this credit card. Well, whoa, slow down. That may not be the best thing, right? We want to talk to you and figure out sometimes, right? 1,000 times more than me, just paying down to zero may not be the solution, right? It might
Sure.
want to have a little balance or,
Mhm.
whatever, it may be. So we want to, get the people and talk to them because we might very easily, it's very different than, years ago, we didn't have this opportunity where we might be able, if somebody starts, they come to us, we run their initial credit report, and it's 580, 600. There might be an easy fix to get them to 640, 680. So maybe we could get a
Sure.
little better interest rate, or, a better
Sure.
scenario for them. But the minimums are going to be in the 600, 620 credit score range.
And I just have to ask because I think people need to hear it. How much easier does it make it to do your job when their credit is fantastic?
It it's awesome because remember, we're in a software, we're in an AI world, but even before AI, people may not realize it. Loans are approved by a human, right? By an underwriter. We're the first line of defense. We review and give out pre-approvals, but then the file goes to underwriters. They are approved by humans, but people, average person may not know we run through a software system, right? And they look at your income, your assets, your credit, and we have to have an approval in our system before we could send it off to the underwriter for the human review. So once we have somebody with great credit, it's almost guaranteed we're going to get the software, we're going to get our approved eligible findings. You might even get other benefits, maybe a lower interest rate. You might get what's called an appraisal waiver, not on a renovation loan. We always have to do an appraisal, but you might get an appraisal waiver on a traditional mortgage. So where you don't have to do an appraisal. There's so many benefits to having great credit and working with
Absolutely.
you behind the scenes to get that before you go and get your final mortgage. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I would like to ask, just for everyone here, I'm going to leave it completely ambiguous. I just want you to leave our audience with some Barry words of wisdom, whatever it may be. You can talk to the homeowner, you can talk to the loan officer that's, trying to grow their business, you can talk to realtors, right, that you help every day. You can talk about anything. I don't care what it is. I just want to hear some Barry words of wisdom today.
So, I mean, look, I think that we've talked about a lot of it, right? I think a lot of keys to successful people are differentiating yourself, being righteous, doing the right thing, taking care of yourself so that you can read. I try and read, and, I'm big on faith and prayer and meditation and taking care of exercising and eating food from the earth, and eating well, and and I learned most of this stuff from my wife, and have a great family and a great support system. And just all those things are going to help you. And then in turn, you're going to attract great things from the universe, including a successful career. And it's just always good. I just always try and keep helping people front of mind in my day to day. We come to work, and yes, we want to, we're earning money and getting paid for what we do, but I always try and keep at the forefront helping people, and trying to just always better yourself, and whatever that might be for you. It may not be the same thing for you that it is for me, but I try and incorporate all that and pass that on. And my big thing is, again, that whole differentiating, being different, being unique. If you're a realtor or any sales profession and you're going out on your sales pitch, right, and you're going to get a listing and it's a fixer-upper, the other four realtors they're interviewing are telling them the same thing. Oh, wow, this house needs a lot of work. We got to sell it for cash. It's not mortgageable. There's mold in the basement. It can't even pass an appraisal. The whole conversation's negative. But if you're the differentiator, you're coming into that same situation with, wow, this house is great. We're going to show people the vision. We're going to work.
Yeah.
I know this guy, Barry Koven, and we're going to get him in here and make some before and after pictures and open up the buyer pool to everybody. And we're going to, really make this work. So, making the impossible possible, having that mindset, stepping out of yourself, kind of looking at the scenario from the outside looking in, and trying to keep things on a positive note, not feeding into what everyone else is saying and doing. And all of those little things are very helpful for me personally. Yeah.
Agreed. I love that. So, Barry, if people want to work with you, if realtors want to work with you, how can we all find you?
Oh, I'm easily found, Barry Koven, barrykoven.com. I have my own phone number, 833 Reno now. The Reno Pro on Instagram, barry.koven at ccm.com, easily found. Yep.
I love it. And guys, all the links are going to be in the show notes. So, guys, I've known Barry for a very long time. You are an amazing hand. So, if you have questions, he's super responsive, which surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, not a lot of people are. So, you're very good at communication, which is excellent. I actually
Yeah.
heard a really interesting statistic sidebar. So, there was a group of realtors and they were doing a study and they were like, when you're looking for someone to work with, a loan originator, what are you looking for in regards to like what will make the loan originator stand out? And the number one answer is, can they just respond? And I was like, really? Like that's the bar is just like responding to people? But like I've noticed like being in business as long as I have, I'm amazed at the amount of people that just don't respond. So to my point, you're extremely responsive. So people will get their questions answered. So, with that being said, this was such an eye opener, and I hope that you all got some great education and hopefully some ideas as to what your next purchase is going to be. It looks like your options have expanded quite a bit thanks to Barry being on the show today. So, if you're standing there thinking that the door is closed, I want you to think again because Barry exists for a reason. There is a reason you heard this podcast today. So, listen, remember, the reason things happen is because somebody wanted to. Thank you, Barry, so much for being a guest on the show. And God bless. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like and subscribe. And if there's someone you know that this would help, please share this with them. If you are looking to fix and repair your credit, you can find us at www.micaabigail.com. And if you're looking for more personal stories on myself, you can find me at Fit Credit Doctor. Thanks again for joining, and God bless.